Hey everyone, and welcome back to Kingdoms of Socks.
What?
The soupening.
See you tomorrow.
I don't know. I kind of had to make that up on the spot, and it didn't.
Are those your balls?
Yeah, my balls
things?
can like blast people on walls and crap. They come back too. It makes it really convenient for like charging through things.
I
Except
just
for when
noticed
they're
that there were
gone.
explosions going off around you, and I was just.
Yeah, it's kind of my hope. Well, it was kind of my hope that the orbs would never go away because it would make chugging through all of the boxes and
It'd
crap
just be like bam, bam, bam,
extremely
bam, bam, bam.
easy. Yeah, but they either come back slowly or like I don't even get the rhyme or reason to how it works. Because, see, they're back now, but sometimes I've gone through an entire dungeon and they just have not returned.
I like how they don't use up any more mana than you already have. Then.
Yeah. Well, you're sustaining it, so it technically is just like taking a chunk out of your mana regen. Mm-hmm. It makes sense.
How many spells can you cast with the amount of mana you have?
At this point, I can cast the Mark of Flame over and over and over and over again.
Without worry.
Talk to Window Grill.
It is a grill.
Cost a lot by sea.
Whack.
More gold than a Varani king.
I don't know, but I'm going with Persuasion.
I thought the meddler was taken care of along with the gnome. Go on. Horst will want to hear this.
Woo, I have no idea what's going on.
They're really too trusting. They're like, oh, you know about what's happened? Very well, come through.
You're
like
very
it's
good
like
at guessing answers to riddles. Oh man, that would be a hilarious story if like just a character keeps getting into trouble because he keeps more or less just figuring out riddles and nonsense. So it's like what crosses the sea, whatever, and it's supposed to be just completely coded and whatever, and the character just like thinks about it for a while. Oh, it's this thing. You know, you may pass, and eventually this character just learns all these, like, dread secrets that he just should not know, because he's just some random schmuck.
Just reminds me of Gollum's riddles in the dark.
Yeah. I guess I'm thinking
That was
about
a
it now.
scary scene.
Ish.
Like, in the book, it seemed very, you know, low-key and not at all life-threatening, but in the film, they actually had him, like, readying himself for the kill, and he's just like... But then,
Yeah.
of course, Bill will be like, oh, wait, this is the answer.
Well, they try to make that movie as, like...
Gritty as they can.
Not gritty, just energetic. Not dramatic. There we go. That's the right word. Because, like...
My grandma was a little perplexed by all of the talk of eating. Like, the creatures wanting to eat everyone all the time.
Well, I mean, if you're clearly evil, and you really don't have much for, like, farming, cannibalism, or, well, I guess it's not even cannibalism so much as just eating other humanoid races, I guess wouldn't quite be out of the question.
I wonder what the world would have been like if there were sentient humanoid races that evolved parallel with ours.
There were. We killed them all.
But that was a long time ago. Like, Neanderthals
That's
and
kind of the
stuff.
point, Michelle, though.
No, but, like, these ones all develop into unique advanced civilizations.
I think...
That was back in the cavemen times.
I think they would kill them each other off. I mean, the thing is, the way...
Unless isolation occurs.
Yeah, but we actually have something kind of like that. There are certain Aborigine tribes.
Yeah, there's Aborigines, there's, what, pygmies? And among other things?
Especially
But they're
around...
not a separate species, per se.
They are. Actually,
Really?
I think there's enough genetic drift between those Aborigine groups that interbreeding would be impossible. Or would result in issues. I could be wrong, I'm not a biologist, but I believe like, have you heard of the Aborigine?
Heroic, my fine little war swan.
Just pause for a moment. Do you know what I find the most bizarre thing?
What?
Dogs.
Oh, and human breeding and stuff?
But look at the variety of dogs. Like, humans don't inherently vary that.
Tracked and fought your way to my very door. but the vault has been emptied and Lord Beeson has flown to Eamon's Isle.
So, there's another person we need to find.
Yep, pretty much. It's just passing the buck from one person to the next, to the wall grading, to the next person, to the, next foreshadowing dude. It's kind of silly. Alright, Eamon's Isles? Yeah, we can talk about dogs in a sec.
You don't even know, do you? Your own history. Well, let it stay buried.
Okay.
Out of your hands, out of mine, and in Beeson's. Fear not, the Farlangi shall bring a beauty terrible and sublime into the world. Now!
Uh-oh.
Oh, great. The one thing I don't like in this game is fighting multiple wizards at once. Cause,
Blast them all.
well, I mean, more or less...
Or just get into melee range.
Since I'm crazy over leveled, they don't do much damage to me, and my greatsword does more than enough damage to just more or less cut through them. The problem is, regardless of what level I am, I still...
Stuns.
Yeah, I still get stunned and stun-locked. I've gotten better at using the shields, though, so I can actually, repel stuff.
So is he immune while casting?
No, it's just... certain enemies don't get stun-locked in the same way that you do, because he's orange, he resists my moves. So he's actually a similar level or, slightly higher than me. Oh, come on. But because of that, it means he will resist my attacks and won't get stunned as easily. It's like that with a lot of the trolls that we fought throughout this game. That they will, resist, and you have to crit them before you can stun them.
Aren't you gonna apply fire to him and other things?
Honestly, the greatsword does far more damage at this point, because if you notice, the
teleportation.
fire does 466 damage, which is fine, but the greatsword has the potential to crit him for 600.
600, I see.
Yeah.
At the end of 3 swipes.
Well, it can hit him for just as high, but the thing is, I want to get him stuck in a stun combo, and the only way I can do that, here we go,
There you go.
is by hitting him with the greatsword, because the fire has enough of a cooldown that he could start casting something. But if I can keep hitting it with a greatsword, I mean, honestly, it's also one of those where I just corner him and just wail on him and block whenever necessary. Anyway, we were talking about dogs.
Just the visual variety, their stature, their...
Well, that's
everything.
intentional forced selection. I guess artificial selection is the right word for it. I just walked right into a bear trap. Durr. But the point is, we were breeding dogs purely for their physical traits, so we would breed dogs to get bulldogs. But really, any and all attempts
But
to...
they can still reproduce with one another, even if they're so very different.
I think it's very unlikely for a Chihuahua to crossbreed with a Great Dane.
I'd have to look that up. Because I know that there have been odd mixes between Chihuahuas and dogs much larger than themselves that I find a little bit perplexing.
I could be wrong about the Aborigine thing, but since we really haven't had a whole lot of contact with the Aborigine tribe I'm talking about, I can't say for certain whether it would work or not. Do you know the group I'm talking about?
Which one?
They're 3 or 4 feet tall at the tallest and have more or less killed or attacked anyone that's got nearby.
Clearly people aren't bringing the right kind of defenses.
They're around India. Well, I'm sure you could invade an island, but that would be a human rights issue. Plague times come to an end with burning fires, then swept over. Somehow took the disease with them. This time, the Orbicant has established to ensure, nor would trouble Wraithier after. Who was this guy? Why? It's a historical marker. I see.
Ooh, look at that.
So where am I going anyway?
Look at the tree.
Hold on. I'm trying to figure out on the map where I'm supposed to be.
An island.
Where's the quest marker?
Clearly you need to find an island. But look at that tree. Go back to that tree.
Yeah?
Look at all the swirlies.
Yeah, it's got nice swirlies in it. I need to paint more things with swirlies in them.
Swirly whirlies.
Like, whenever I talk about hand-painted texturing, this is kind of what I mean. And I guess the swirlies are, yes, painted on, but they're supposed to look like they're 3D modeled.
Really?
Yeah. If you notice, the topology is completely flat, and it's just a trick of the texturing.
Wow, that fooled me.
Yep. That's how you can get away with something with very few planes. Like, if you look at this tree is actually not round. It's just got a bunch of
flat angles, yeah.
Flat angles putting it together. So there are two tricks.
It's just very well lit.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. There's another thing called bump mapping that lets you more or less paint on how you want the light to hit. So,
because I noticed that there were blue in the shadows and
yeah.
it was yellow
so
in the
for the bump
lights.
map, you can actually, there are a couple of ways of doing it. You can take a higher level model and bake it down into a very small, low poly model. Actually, pretty much everything here. And it will have like certain areas that will light up differently than others, depending on the light. And it will pretend it has the higher level geometry when in reality it's just a flat surface. It's really clever. 3D modeling, especially in video games, is ridiculous.
Ooh.
You don't run into it a whole lot in movies, I think, but you definitely do. Oh, hey. What's this lady? Yeah. Yeah, especially in games like this where every, single model has to be baked down, otherwise you're going to have a way too large thing. Actually, I'm not going to. Oh, maybe the boxes don't actually have this. I was going to say.
Yeah, just I wanted to say something. So I know that we were talking about, the portrayal of female characters in games and stuff, and I have to say that I've actually liked the way that this game has handled it. I mean, look at all these female characters that you group with who are in positions of power and such.
There's only one female character that we've run into that's kind of embarrassing,
Aelin?
and that's her.
Aelin, the
boob lady,
one that barely wears anything. That's some sort of assassin.
Yep. Let's talk to Gwen.
Beeson, the Beeson. If it's true he's gone to Eamon's Isle, we must follow immediately. I know a ship's captain here in the city. Hopefully Captain Gomform isn't already hired. Take this, a token from Delfric himself. We should send word of our discoveries to him immediately.
Something? They do. Okay, so I've pointed this out before in a game to you. Watch their heads. Watch when they tilt them.
They tilt back and forth, so they're using the same animation.
They have the exact same idle animation synced up. So when our character tilts her head to the right, she tilts hers to the left.
But I think that's because they're the same elf race, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. It's just really lazy programming. Guild Wars 1 had this even worse. There's a cutscene with like 40, 50 dwarves, and they all have the exact same idle animation, so they all look left. And then shake their shoulders, and then stomp.
I thought it was a choreographed dance or something.
It was just lazy. Because you could put it at a slight delay, or like have some go a little bit faster.
And they'd all be waggling.
Yeah, and they'd all be completely separate. But no. All right, where are we going?
Bring word to ancient Delfric. Now, let's get to the keys.
Ancient Delfric.
Okay. For some reason, this one isn't marked as a primary quest. Maybe she has to talk to him first. Oh, let's talk to him.
My ship is free, and its course is yours to plot, my friends. Were it not Warsworn asking, I wouldn't sail such treacherous northern waters or set foot on an island so long forsaken. But for you, I'll go. I'll go.
It does bother me that the other elf chick has a much more emotive-looking face than ours, because we just have that perpetual, like, unhappily bored look.
I think ours is the same face, though.
It's pretty close, but her eyes looked a little bit less.
Is it because of the modifications we made, or...?
Could be. Let's take this boat.
The ship's fitted and provisioned. There's a fair wind whenever you wish it, friends. You need but give the word.
Let's go.
Then climb aboard. The seas may be rough, but you and your comrade need not fear. You're in able hands.
Yay. Well, maybe it's because our character actually has half-lidded blinks and such, whereas the other characters either have their
were much more open, yeah.
eyes open or closed.
I do have to say about this game, I think I was mentioning it in my Saints Row series, but the fact that this game has... Wait, was there a thing? Oh, it's just a plant.
Plant.
The fact that this game has the exact same human body... Oh, we went the wrong way. For every single male we've ever run across, young or old, really gets to me. Like, there are no children in this game. There are no fat men. There are no skinny men.
Wait, what do you mean there are no fat men? I thought there were. What game am I thinking of?
I mean, I can honestly say I can't think of a single fat dude we've come across. Every single man we've ever run into in this game has been...
I know what it is. It was Tor that had fat men. Remember?
Maybe? I don't remember that well, but that one also had a character editor where you could slide up how fat your character was.
Well, no, you only had 3 body types. One was thin,
oh, you're right,
medium, and fat, but they actually had fat people, which was interesting. Like, double chin worthy, you know?
Yeah. But like...
Women were just hefty looking, not necessarily big like those guys were.
But in this game, the men and the women only have one body type across the board. And since everybody was generated with the character editor, even plot NPCs, you just get a bunch of, you know, hulking, muscled out looking people.
Yeah, I wish that there were more options for lankier men, and then also for women who are not rail thin. Because I find that's more of an issue than the opposite. And I mean, sliders help with that too?
Yeah, well, we were just playing this Saints Row 4 yesterday, and the character editor in that one really did allow for a lot.
Well, it even goes so far as to allow you to...
be a really fat dude.
Well, that, and also to adjust how much you have.
Well, that's a junk. That's a junk. That's a dick joke. The sex appeal thing.
Do they have that for the woman, where it's just the breasts?
Yeah, and butt, I think.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. I haven't tried it, so I can only
because I wish more
estimate.
games had options for breast size, because I find that in a lot of games, they're too big proportionally to the body.
Yeah, oh god. Yeah.
And then there's games like Aeon where you wiggle your character one way or the other and they're like blue, 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 blue.
I guess that game still has a non-disclosure agreement, so I can't talk about it, which kind of pisses me off. But suffice to say, I was playing a random game, and one of the characters raises her arms and her boobs just go boing, 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 boing. It's like, really?
No, I know. Jump animations and stuff. They always get you.
Actually, what did I see recently? Oh, it was World of Warcraft. Somebody on Reddit had pointed out that the women
breathe with their
breasts. Yeah, in World of Warcraft, if you've never noticed, the women actually, when they breathe in and out, it's just their boobs that move.
Well,
they, like, expand.
I noticed when I was playing the game that it looked like their chests were heaving in and out, which was okay, but I suppose I wasn't looking closely at them, you know? And I know in a lot of games they have the rib cage.
Well, I don't know about you, but I inspect boobs.
Carl?
Tell me, how am I doing? I'm not paying attention to the combat anymore.
I'm glad I'm wearing a very concealing shirt.
Yes.
Awkward silence.
Well, now everybody knows my name is Carl.
I've said it before.
I know.
Plenty of times.
My mother was here, long ago. She saw many ancient places in her time.
I don't know. It's one of those where it's like, I feel like I should semi-conceal my identity for Let's Plays. Mainly because of people in, like, real life that I've told about my YouTube channel, I think I've only told 3. Not even my parents know where to find it, even though they know of its existence because...
Well, my dad did, and that probably released a whole can of worms.
I don't know, we'll see.
So you better watch what you say.
I say nothing particularly terrible.
Vault now here.
Mm-hmm.
What do they hope to find? There are no relics here, only lost knowledge.
Mage just does not care. Oh, come on. Screw you, NPC lady. You ruined my combo.
Oops, excuse me. Burpy burp. That's what making fajitas does. Though that pineapple salsa was good.
Yes. If
Who
you ever
would've
have the
thought?
chance to try pineapple salsa, it's better than you would think it would be.
Now, it's not...
It's not heavily pineapple.
Pure-
It's just
yeah.
like nice and sweet.
Just has a couple pineapple bits in it.
Ooh, secret door. But like, I don't know. I'm trying to remember the. He goes by Cryotic, I believe. He's a fairly big YouTuber, and nobody knows what he looks like. I don't think anybody knows what his real name is. I don't watch his stuff, but he's fairly popular because he's just this random dude, and unlike most YouTubers, doesn't put his face on anything, doesn't, go to conventions and tell people he's there.
I go to conventions and I wear costumes where my face is covered more often than not.
Yeah, but like, say if you're a big YouTuber with, a million fans or something ridiculous like that, or maybe just like 300,000, I don't know.
I mean,
how
then
many
you get
is.
people like Game Grumps where their images are iconic, and people have what? Didn't a guy ask you to make Game Grumps fan art for him?
Yeah, but he was only willing to pay me like $10 for probably an hour or two of work, which
Yep.
I don't know. It was probably going to be more than that, and I was not that into it.
I really liked sketching characters like Deadpool and such for individuals, and
Yeah, but he was not going to pay nearly enough to make it worth it.
I think it also depends on how much time it takes for you, because for me, to have a really good penciled and inked sketch takes about, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And so if you're charging, $15 a portrait, torso or full body, closer to $30 or whatever, that's pretty good.
Ish. I mean, realistically, if I were a computer programmer, I'd be making probably a salary of, 6 digits or something ridiculous like that after a certain amount of time. So, $30 an hour, not so great, comparatively.
Better than 8.
That is true. But that's just family nonsense.
No, it's also, all the people out there that are working minimum wage
Yeah.
jobs, too. And prices are only going up for the cost of living, but
I don't know.
salaries haven't reflected that.
I just get really insulted when somebody thinks it's like, oh, I will pay him $10 for several hours worth of work. And it's like, only if I really feel like it. And even then, if you get on my ass about it at all, I'm just going to drop it and you.
Look out!
The Chapel of... What?
Oh, it's a Niskaro summoner. Whoppy doodle. I don't know, I move too fast for this game sometimes.
I know.
It doesn't say. Sorry.
Just defeat the mages.
Yep.
If you look up at the portrait on the wall, maybe you'll figure it out what it is.
Maybe. Or I could look it up. It's probably just some random fantasy-sounding name.
Yeah, probably one of the various gods they have.
It is Salvatore, after all.
Mm-hmm.
But, like...
Though, in Salvatore's novels, it seemed as though a lot of the gods were actually embodiment, like demons and things, too.
A lot of the gods and such that Salvatore wrote weren't original, since he was borrowing from the Forgotten Realms, like Loth. Or Loth.
Well, I know. It's just that it's interesting how in some fiction, gods are, like the ones in, real world religions, entities that, don't currently exist in the physical sense or whatever. They're more like ethereal beings or whatever. And then you have some fantasy worlds where they actually do come down and wreak havoc and such, whether they're monsters or who knows what.
Well, anything with any amount of mythology probably will have the gods in a much more participatory manner. Even the, like, Christian Old Testament has God flash his ankle at Abraham.
His ankle?
Yeah, because that's the only part of him that he can show to Abraham that won't just outright kill him. And I think it ended up blinding Abraham for like 3 days.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I think it was part of the whole burning bush thing. It's been a while since I've
and aren't
read
ankles things you're not supposed to show to people in the Middle East and such? Especially
Everybody
women.
wears sandals. God is not a woman, probably. I don't know. Does the Bible ever even state God's gender?
I think they do say he.
Well,
And since
I
it
am
was
not
written by men in a world ruled by men, he was most likely depicted as a man.
That is true. Ooh, this is a nice mural-looking thing. Anyway, let's stop talking about religion, because that's always an awkward topic.
But so, guy with a giant hammer.
Taking out a Niskaru, like, lord.
Yeah, so he summoned a bunch of minions and then...
Yep. Probably the original Warsworn, or like one of their greatest warriors. And the Niskaru are trying to take the weapons away so the Niskaru can come back and do terrible, terrible things. Anyway, this episode has gone on quite a while. So, we will see you guys on the next episode of Kingdoms of Amalur.